for the last 74 years, Pakistan Army had only one reason to exist, actually, and that was Kashmir. So since a child is born in Pakistan and starts going to school or madrasa, they hear that Kashmir is the Shahrag of Pakistan, and we will all. I mean, the India is a occupier, and we have to
Right.
we have to release the Kashmiris from this occupation. So this has been the core point, core standing point of the Pakistan Army and the state and the establishment for the last 70 plus years. And
Right.
all the fights and whatever they have had with India, it was based on Kashmir basically.
Hello, namaste, and welcome to Chitya Media. My name is Sharan Sethi, your host. We have all seen how innocent civilians have been targeted by militant and terrorist organizations in Kashmir over the last 3 or 4 days. Their agenda has become clear. They need to create an exodus of Kashmiri Pandits and Sikhs from the valley once again to reclaim control over the Kashmir Valley. To discuss this, we are joined by Khalid Umar ji. Khalid ji, namaste. Thank you so much for joining us at such early
Namaste.
hours in the morning.
Namaste.
Khalid ji, let me ask you one question. I know that a lot of pundits, a lot of people have been really disturbed by what is happening in the valley. Why are civilians being targeted now? We have never seen this in the recent history, at least.
Well, when you say terrorism means hitting civilians and unarmed people, or people who are innocent, who has nothing to do with the dynamics of any power struggle, for example, if there is a struggle. So the terrorism, the basis of the terrorism is to create ripples in the society in a way that it dysfunctions the normal functioning of the organization or of the society. So this is what is terrorism about, and this is all the hallmarks of I would say Islamic terrorism, the way it works, because when you are in a minority and you want to create trouble in the society in a way that you cannot function, then that's the way to do it.
Right. And we have also been seeing how these terror organizations are rebranding themselves. Now, what changes have you seen in the last 3 to 4 years? Has there been a different strategy adopted by these organizations?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that this is all coming from the cross the border. There should be no doubt, because you need money, you need training, you need arms and ammunition,
Right.
and this is all something which has to come from across the border, from the state, which is known as the perpetrators of terrorism all around the world, and there's no dearth of trained people over there. And the rebranding thing is very interesting, because if you see how the liberals and the left all over the world are targeting a Modi government, and especially the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So instead of no, now they are calling him all over the world the global Hindutva and the fascism, and all with the new terminology which is now being hurled on Narendra Modi, whereas there is no single evidence that it has gone anything to anti-secular or anti-Muslim or any anti minority. So this is certainly to bring a new face to their terrorism. It's Sometimes it used to be for separation of Kashmir. It used to be for making that, oh, the Indian government is uh, doing a lot of grave injustice to the peoples in the valley, so we are fighting for that. And now they have joined with the forces, the liberal left forces, which are calling Modi the fascist. I mean, when they say fascist, clearly the reference is to the international campaign which is going on against
Right.
the present government. So this is just I would say, the same liquor but in a new bottle, I would say. Yeah.
Right. So, Khalid, one more question I had for you was I read the communique that had been put out by the Resistance Front, and it says that the Modi government is actively involved in changing the demographics of Kashmir. Now, this is an entirely laughable matter. What would your response be to this?
Well, again, it is a propaganda which if you see, this liberal West has been doing in different times in different countries, and it reminds me of Israel and of Palestine when it was happening, and at that time, in the 70s, the same thing used to be heard at Israel, that they are changing the demography of the areas. So this creates a kind of an international sympathy with that cause, or with that movement, that the saying that the indigenous people are being moved from their lands. So actually, it is vice versa.
Yes.
The indigenous people have been, the Kashmiri Pandits, they have been displaced from their lands even before, and now again, the terrorism and the way it is hitting a certain community, it will make the people flee for their life, or they get scared. So in
Right.
fact, they are the ones who are trying to change the demography of the valley and of the Kashmir as a whole, rather than the other way around. But it is a propaganda war, and it's not only that you need to fight it through security means and through the warfare, but it is also through the propaganda as well, which you have to do.
Right. Kaliji, you bring up a very important point. The fact is, these attempts have been created in the past as well. In the 1990s, we saw an exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from the valley, and this clearly seems to be another attempt to recreate the same.
Yeah.
But you have been vocal about these issues for a long time now. Do you see any difference in how Kashmir was and the security situation in Kashmir was in the 90s as compared to today? And do you think the same scenario can be recreated?
Well, at that time, it was closed. It was a more of a security state, in the sense that people were scared to come in. Now, the situation with the abrogation of the article, it happened that and the government allowed people to come in and buy properties and stuff. So with that, and with considering that if this goes on for, say, another 5 years, I would say, if not more, the whole things will change, when you will have the youngsters who have, say, um, playgrounds, or they have pubs, or they have cinemas, and they have more of a life and of
Right.
something to rejoice about, rather than a closed society. Then it would have progressed. It would have done much better, much I would say, a more society which is more outward looking and more modern. So this is an attempt to stop that kind of the way the society is moving, or the way the Indian government is trying to make it. So, and also whenever you will open a society, you
Mhm.
can see that when you open a society, then definitely the restrictions will, the moment you remove the restrictions, there will be a more opportunity also for the insurgents to move into the society and take such actions. If you have your guards and your checkpoints at every kilometer, then there will be a close society, but then there will be less of insurgency as well. So this is a price you pay when you open a society, and then the
Right.
insurgency might go up as well.
Right. Khalidji, thank you so much for those comments. And let me draw your attention back to our neighbor in the West, which has been creating all these troubles since 1947. Now, we have also seen what has happened in Afghanistan. We have clean shaven ISI men standing there and instructing the Taliban what to do. And the Taliban has also been commenting on Kashmir in different occasions. What do you see as a threat coming from Taliban? How do you see the entire scenario playing out on Kashmir?
To me, I don't think that it will have a lot of. It can have a lot of impact. I don't think so, because if you look at the geography of the country, I mean, uh, Afghanistan is quite removed from Kashmir, and unless they need to move through the Pakistani territory, and Pakistan has got indigenous factories of creating, proxies, fighters. All the, madrasas, especially in the KPK area, and they have plenty of thousands of people who are trained hardcore fighters. Uh, Pakistan government has got their own version of their own Talibans who have a lot of fighting force, and they can really there's no really shortage of
Right.
fighters that they need from Afghanistan to come into Kashmir. So with the situation in Afghanistan, and with the Taliban government over there, it is not something that will change or will give any advantage to Pakistan government as far as the proxies are concerned, but it will give them an advantage in terms of saying that, oh, we are not doing it. It is the Taliban who are doing it.
Right.
But we need to keep it in mind that actually um, it is the Pakistan government who are behind it. So
Right.
they basically don't need Taliban as such. So
Very rightly said, sir. Now, there's another feeling among common Kashmiris, whether it's Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs. The feeling is that they are tired of seeing violence because they've been witnessing this for about 70 years now. Khalidji, this may seem more of a hypothetical question, a philosophical question rather, but will Kashmiris ever achieve peace? And if they were to achieve peace, how do you think that is possible?
well, hypothetically, I would say, yeah, every nation has a right to peace, and this is our birthright. But the question is that will they ever achieve? Yeah, as long as the I mean, there are two sides to this answer, I would say. The first of all is that you have a country on your border which is a security state, which is a garrison state, and basically army is running that country. And for the last 74 years, Pakistan army had only one reason to exist actually, and that was Kashmir. So since a child is born in Pakistan and starts going to school or madrasa, they hear that Kashmir is the Shahrag of Pakistan, and we will all. I mean, the India is a occupier, and we have to
Right.
we have to release the Kashmiris from this occupation. This has been the core point, core standing point of the Pakistan Army and the state and the establishment for the last 70 plus years. And
Right.
all the fights and whatever they have had with India, it was based on Kashmir basically. So now with the sudden, removal of Kashmir from the international agenda and annexation and the abrogation, so Pakistan Army establishment was suddenly outmaneuvered, initially in the initial
Right.
days. Now actually they are actually rebranding themselves, and they are regrouping their forces, because otherwise, if there is no insurgency in Kashmir, the in Pakistan, the intelligentsia or the people who really have some thinking left, they will question why we have to have a 1 million strong army which is eating the resources of the country.
Right.
So this is a dilemma for the Pakistan army. If they don't do the insurgency, they lose their own moral right to exist in their own country and to have access to so much of resources, because then there is no other threat, perceived threat rather. So this is one reason. I would say, as long as this mindset exists, and this kind of a army, this side of a country which is actually being ruled and controlled and run by an army exists, the the insurgency or the insurgents entering from their side will not end, because this
Right.
is a question of their survival. Now comes to how to fight that. So the basically, I would say that you have to have more of a security and more of a prompt repercussions on those elements and those agents who become part of it. It should not be only the one who actually fires a gun. It should also be the person who has aided or has given any kind of a moral support, be that intellectual sport, be that commercial sport, emotion sport, whatever kind of sport, they should also be, made a target.
Right.
So any element who are helping this kind of a narrative, which is against, which is anti-nationalist, anti-nation, anti-country, they should also be, stopped from doing, and it should not, your secularism should not come in the way to actually combat those people. And secondly, I would say more of an electronic security means, plus um, we need to learn from how there are pockets of population which are densely packed with one kind of a religious group.
Right.
So we need to learn from the Israeli experience for how they have done it. So what they have done is that they have actually controlled the influx and movement in and out from those pockets of population where there is a large percentage of insurgency comes from. So if you are able to stop their movement and um, their movement from in and out, and you have an close eye on it, I think and so insurgency, there will be stopping the insurgency will be two ways. One will be to stopping from entering from outside. So your membrane should be thick enough that they cannot enter. And
Right.
the one who are inside, you need to control them through different means. It is physical, as well as it is through the media and through education, and especially the mosque and the sermons and the way, uh, uh, especially the Juma congregation, Friday congregations are held, and the way the sermons are being I don't know how it is, but this is a very huge source of indoctrination as well as putting the message across. So these are the things, if you control them, and definitely I would say that the Pandits should not leave, rather than more people would stay there or come in. So to make the demography actually stay strong and different, and that's the way to control this insurgency. And then obviously, hopefully, in the years to come, I can see the Pakistan will balkanize. I think balkanization of the Pakistan would be in the interest of the peace in the whole world, rather.
Right.
So I don't think that with the way they are going and the way they are progressing, they are actually moving towards that. They cannot keep such a huge country totally running for the military for how long. Ultimately, their benefactors will dry up, and
Right.
possibly it will dismember, and that will be the step towards the ultimate peace in this region, I believe.
Right. Thank you so much for those comments, Khalid ji. It's a very good educational interview. This has been to learn about Kashmir from your perspective. And I agree with you, winning hearts and minds should become a part of India's bigger strategy, because that is what really sort of tells people about how important Kashmir is, how important security for Kashmiri Pandits are. Because even in India, we are growing up learning about atrocities by the Indian army. And these are the kind of stories that are cooked up and fed to us through our history textbooks. So
Yeah.
one can only imagine what kind of stories are played out on the other side of the border.
Oh,
So
they are horrific. You can't imagine.
right. Uh, Thank you so much again for joining us. And sorry to wake you up,
No, no,
but thank you so much. And I hope you can join us for more conversations on this.
thank you.
Namaste, Khalid ji. Have a good.
Namaste.
And to all our viewers, please do like, share, and subscribe to Chitti Media. We will be bringing you active updates from Kashmir and the protests in New Delhi. This is your host, Sharan Sethi, signing off.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.